Hello everybody, Board Game Lawyer here. It is a Friday morning and welcome to my Friday night Twitch. Anyway, today we're going to play some Marvel Champions, so let's get down the table and see what we're going to be playing with today. So I decided to take one of my favorite heroes, Cable. I call this deck Cable Guy. And I'm going to take him up against Mr. Green Goblin. Only he's going to be a Venom Goblin instead of a Green Goblin today, so let's see what the Venom Goblin is all about. Let's take a look at the main scheme here. It says that the contents of Venom Goblin are Venom Goblin 1 and Venom Goblin 2 because I'm playing in Standard today. It also says to use the Symbiotic Strength and Standard Encounter sets. So I have those shuffled into the Encounter deck today. And then one modular Encounter set Goblin Gear. I'm just going to leave it in as recommended to see how things work out. I don't have a tremendous amount of games against Venom Goblin. Not sure why. I guess maybe I thought he was a little bit too hard, and I want to have more fun playing a game. But here lately, I've had some downtime and been playing against some Venom Goblin. I actually like him. So, yeah, so I'm glad to have had some time to play with him. So, anyhow, the setup says put the Lower Manhattan, Midtown Manhattan, and Upper Manhattan main schemes into play. And place the glider counter on Midtown Manhattan and flip this card and set it aside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take for the sake of octagon and space, I'm going to put the Lower Manhattan main scheme right next to the Venom Goblin. I'm going to put Midtown Manhattan next to Lower Manhattan. I'm going to put Upper Manhattan over here. And then it says for us to flip this card and set it aside, but what I like to do is I like to flip it over and use it actually as my glider marker. So I'll just set it right here underneath Midtown Manhattan because that's part of the setup. Now here it tells us our rules, and we have them handy. It says that player cards that affect the main scheme can apply to any main scheme. So these are the player cards. The encounter cards that affect the main scheme only apply to the scheme with the glider counter, including placing of acceleration tokens. Okay, and then the main scheme accumulates threat each round according to its acceleration value and any acceleration tokens on that scheme. So each round we're going to place beginning one threat on Lower Manhattan, Midtown Manhattan, one threat, and Upper Manhattan gets one threat on it. But they all start with different values. So Lower Manhattan starts with one threat on it. Midtown Manhattan starts with 2 threat on it, and Upper Manhattan starts with 0 threat on it, and they all have different special abilities, as you can see here. Now, how do we trigger those special abilities? Let's take a look at the Venom Goblin. He is a scheme of 2, an attack of 2. He's steady, and both on his scheme and attack he has a star, which is a forced response. It says after Venom Goblin activates against you, move the glider counter to the main scheme with the least threat. Choose to either place 2 threat on that scheme or resolve its special ability. Now, as you thumb through the different levels of Venom Goblin, that can change. But here on level 1, you can place 2 threat on that scheme or choose to resolve the special ability on that main scheme. So it just depends on what you need. If you need a little bit of a breather and you don't want to hit these specials, you can choose to place 2 threat on there, but threat can get out of control pretty quickly. And I think if 2 of these main schemes get flipped, that's when the game's over. So, all right, so we're going to be playing with Nathan Summers today, who is Cable. Let me go ahead and zoom in so we can all get a better look at the board here. See what's out there. All right, so Nathan Summers is a mutant soldier. He has a recovery of 4 in his alter ego form. Of course, Cable in his main, in his hero form. Mutant Soldier, you may include player side schemes from any aspect in your deck, and we do have a rainbow of, I think we have every single aspect represented in our deck today. Soldier X, his setup says to search your deck and discard pile for a player side scheme and put it into play and shuffle. All right. Let's take a look and see. I haven't done any mulligans yet. I haven't even looked to see what my starting hand is, and let's see what we got here. We got Forced Amnesia, which is a upgrade. After a non-permanent side scheme is defeated, add Forced Amnesia and that side scheme to the victory display. That's nice. That's another way to get some cards in that victory display, side schemes in that victory display that normally wouldn't go there. We have Mind Scan, which is an excellent thwart ability for Mr. Cable. We've got Clear the Area, remove 2 threat and draw a card. One Way or Another, one of my favorite Justice cards. So we're playing Justice today. As you can tell, we've got Strength and we got Moria McTaggart in our deck. It says, play only if your identity has the mutant trait response. After a mutant alter ego changes to hero form, exhausts Moria McTaggart, that hero's controller draws a card. So a nice way to get extra card draw when you have to flip down to your alter ego form, which you will with Cable from time to time. So, I really like my starting hand. I don't think I'm going to mulligan anything off because I don't know what One Way or Another will net us. I know that there's some nasty side schemes in the Venom Goblin encounter deck, so you don't want to drag out too many of those, but it's a nice way to get extra 3 cards here at the beginning of the game that are useful. So, and then of course we got Moria McTaggart, and I'm going to go ahead and play her out on the table. Good timing to get her early in the game, so we're going to use our Strength, our 2 resources from Strength to put out Moria McTaggart. Oh, by the way, I got to do my setup ability. Let me do that first. Search your deck and discard pile for a player side scheme and put it into play. Yes, got to put that out there. And I'm going to look at all the cards in my deck. And of course, with if you can pull it off, it's so nice to get that Technovirus Purge out of the way early on. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put Technovirus Purge out on the table. Now, the rules on that one say that it's Victory 0. Characters other than Cable cannot remove threat from Technovirus Purge. So I can't use a ally to remove threat from Technovirus Purge, but your hero does use things like Clear the Area or Mind Scan. So that's a nice way to get some threat off of there. It says, while Technovirus Purge is in the victory display, Nathan Summers and Cable gain the psionic trait, and Cable gets +1 thwart, +1 attack, and +1 defense. So that's a good one to get out early, and I do have some threat removal, particularly Mind Scan, which is great to have in your opening hand, so happy to see that. So yeah, we put Moria McTaggart out on the table. Now we're going to flip to hero form. Okay, so now we're Cable, and his ability is that he has a thwart of 2, an attack of 2, and a defense of 2. He's a hero, soldier, X-Force. The response is, after Cable defeats a side scheme, ready him, and you can do this a limit of once per phase. Alright, so since we flipped to our hero form, we're going to exhaust Moria McTaggart to draw a card, and we got Keep Them Busy, which is a victory 0. It says, when defeated, the player who defeated this scheme removes 5 threat from the main scheme. So again, remember, player cards affect any of those main schemes. Right now, Keep Them Busy, I don't know. The most I can remove off of a main scheme. It'd be nice if it could remove it off of side schemes, but this one says it removes 5 threat from the main scheme. So it might be alright to put out. I don't know. If nothing else, it's a nice resource. But I'm going to go ahead and play that One Way or Another card to see what other choices I'll have before I start spending cards out of my hand here. So we're going to play One Way or Another. And I'm going to look through the encounter deck. Looking through to see what choices I have of... And you want to try to clear these out because I think they're all nasty. Let's see. There's one, it's called Limitless Supply. It places 5 threat on there. Each tech attachment gains Surge. The next one is Joyride. When revealed, move the glider counter token to the main scheme with the most threat. I don't really want to reveal that yet because I don't want to start triggering special abilities if I can avoid it. And then there's Festering Mass. Wonderful name. Festering Mass. While no other symbiote environments are in play, this card is considered a symbiote environment. Well, there's no other symbiote environments in play. That's what happens when you flip the main schemes over. They become symbiote environments. And I think if there's 2 on the table, that's when you lose. So there is an acceleration icon on that one. So it looks like all of the side schemes require 5 threat removal. So that's a lot. Depending upon what I end up drawing from one way or another, I may be able to remove some extra threat to get rid of one of those. If in fact I'm not able to remove it for whatever reason, this has a hazard icon, this has a hazard icon. This one just simply has an acceleration icon on it. So this might be my choice to start off the game, is to put that Festering Mass out there on the table, and you don't want it on the table either later in the game. I don't think so. It says, while there's no other symbiote environment. Yeah, because there are cards that reference symbiote environments. So you want to try to get rid of that early too. But it only has an acceleration icon on it, which is not too terrible right now. So well, that's the reason why we'll play that one. So since we played one way or another, it allows us to draw 3 cards. And let's see what we get. We got a followed card, which is a nice way to do some extra damage to Mr. Goblin over there. It says when attached side scheme is defeated, deal 4 damage to an enemy. So you attach that to a side or to a scheme. The next card that we draw is a Justice Served, which is another great card. Play under any player's control, max 1 per player. After you thwart and remove the last threat from a scheme, discard Justice Served to ready your hero. Perfect. Love it. And the last of the 3 cards that I get to draw is Precognition, which is a hero action. Look at the top X cards of the encounter deck, where X is the number of side schemes in the victory display. You may discard one of those cards, put the rest back in any order. I generally use this card later in the game when I have a nice amount of side schemes in the victory display. All right, so that's the 3 cards that I get to draw for one way or another. I'm going to go ahead and discard that. Now we want to try to pull off this Technovirus Purge because it gives us an additional 3 or +1, +1, +1, +1 thwart, +1 attack, +1 defense, and it gives us the psionic. As if that's going to matter, I'm not sure. But remember again, whenever you play any of these thwart events, that counts as being played by the hero. And so the Technovirus Purge can be defeated by simply using a mind scan after you. And then again, keep in mind that we also have Justice Served that we could put on the table. So when we defeat a side scheme, we can also ready. So that's nice because we had to go fetch that other side scheme out. So let me kind of do some math here, figure out what we can afford to spend. Forced Amnesia is nice too because it says after a non-permanent side scheme is defeated, add Forced Amnesia and that side scheme to the victory display. So that would be a way to get a festering mass into the victory display. Yeah, so lots of choices here. This is a nice way to start. Let's see what resources I want to try to afford to spend. I think I'm going to spend Precognition for sure as a resource, and maybe keep them busy. The player who defeated this side scheme removes 5 threat from the main scheme. Not going to be able to get a lot of bang for that buck since there's only a 2 on a main scheme. But it is a way to keep it down, and it is a way to add some extra cards to the victory display. Now, Forced Amnesia. So it's the kind of the choices are: do I want to put a festering mass in the victory display, or do I want to try to put another keep them busy in the victory display? We're probably, let's see. Let me think about how I want to do this. For sure, I'm going to use Cable to remove 2 threat off of Technovirus Purge. So do I want to start hammering at Venom Goblin, or do I want to start removing lots of threat? That would depend. That would help us a lot to determine whether we want to use Followed as a resource or if we want to use it for 4 damage. I think this early on I'm going to use it as a resource. So I'm going to use Precognition, and I'm going to use Followed as a resource to play Mind Scan. Okay, so we'll use Mind Scan. So it's going to remove 3 threat from a scheme, remove 1 additional threat from a scheme for each side scheme in the victory display. So Technovirus Purge is going to be defeated, and instead of just sticking it over in the victory display, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it over here to the side. So actually that removed, so 2 threat off with Cable, 3 threat off with Mind Scan, took care of Technovirus Purge. And I'm just going to put a marker on Technovirus Purge to show that there is a card in the victory display. Alright, so I spent these 3 cards. Discard those. And now we can trigger Cable's response. It says, after Cable defeats a side scheme, ready him. You could do this a limit of once per phase. So he's readied. So now he is thwart, attack, and defense of +1 each, which I really like. Okay, so I've got clear the area, which I could use. Boy, these are good. Justice served and clear the area. So removing the last threat from festering mass. Yeah, that's what I think I'm going to do. So I'm going to spend one resource. I'm going to spend keep them busy to put justice served out onto the table. Do I want to do that just yet? Let's see. Do I want to do that just yet? Well, I'd like to play all of these cards, actually. These are all great. It'd be nice if I could get clear the area while I've still got some cards in hand and use it. But justice served, I'd have to have that on the table when I defeat it. So I don't think there's any chance of me getting all of these cards or extra of these cards out. So I'm only going to be able to play 2. But at least clear the area will allow us to look at our hand next turn to kind of allow us to look at a card to determine whether we want to keep it on our hand for our next turn. Because justice served will allow us to ready again if that's on the table. So how about this? Yeah, I could spend forced amnesia to keep them busy on the table. Yeah, but then I won't be able to justice serve. Yeah, because it costs 1 to keep them busy out. Some of the player side schemes are free, which are nice. But this one's going to cost me a resource to put it out. So I think it's going to become a resource. Keep them busy. I'm going to spend that to put justice served out on the table. And then Cable is going to attack the festering mass. He's going to thwart the festering mass to knock 3 threat off of the festering mass. Takes it down to 2. Kind of bump the table there. There we go. And then we're going to spend that forced amnesia to play clear the area to remove 2 threat off of the festering mass. Okay, so the festering mass is defeated. There's no when defeated ability on the festering mass, so we'll just discard it. Since clear the area removed the last 2 threat from the scheme, I can draw a card, which is multitasking, which is good. Removes 2 threat off scheme. This is great for Venom Goblin. But I don't have any resources to play it, unfortunately. So we're going to go ahead and discard clear the area. Now, since I defeated, after you thwart and remove the last threat from a scheme, discard justice served and ready your hero. So we can now ready Cable. But we have to discard justice served. So this is a way that we can at least put 3 damage into Venom Goblin. Alright, and that's going to end my turn. Should I hang on to multitasking or should I hope for something different? I think I want to get some more player side schemes in the victory display, and then chances for double resources. So I think I will discard multitasking. It's not one of the stronger cards in my deck, although using it with a mental resource does remove 2 threat off of 2 different schemes, which you're always going to have here in New York. Multiple schemes. Alright, so that's going to end my turn. Advance the phase, turn things over to the Venom Goblin. Let's look and see what we got in our hand. Did we get any defensive cards? I don't think I stocked too many defensive cards in this deck, but we did get some extra side schemes. We got superpower training. We got build support. We've got we got telekinetic blast, which is a lot of damage. We got lock and load, allows us to go find a weapon, and justice served, again, allows us to ready. So those are our 5 cards going into the next turn. Let's go ahead and place 1 threat on each of the Manhattans. Lower, Midtown, and Upper Manhattan all gets a threat on it. Venom Goblin is going to activate against us. Now we are +1 defense. So now I'm up to 3 defense. So that could keep me in hero form for longer. But I won't be able to remove threat from any of these schemes if I do that, if I exhaust myself right now. So I think what I'm going to do is take the damage, which could be a lot, and Venom Goblin, of course. And it says attached to Venom Goblin. Oh no, these are 3 boost icons. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 damage into Cable. No special boosts. So it's just a straight up 5, but there is that triggered forced response where it says infest the city after Venom Goblin activates against you. Move the glider counter to the main scheme with the least threat. Choose to either place 2 threat on that scheme or resolve its special ability. So that Venom glider, which we're using our skies over New York as our marker, is going to flip over to Uptown Manhattan because it has the least amount of threat on it. It says here, discard a card from your hand. If a symbiote environment is in play, discard the top 4 cards of your deck. But we don't have any symbiotic environments right now, which is a good thing we removed that festering mass, because otherwise we would have had one on the table. So my choices are to remove 3 threat off of Upper Manhattan, or to add 2 threat to Upper Manhattan, based upon what's given to us here on the Venom Goblin card, or to trigger discarding a card. Let's see if we can afford to discard a card from our hand. We've got the Telekinetic Blast, which that costs 3 resources to pull off. Right now is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards in our hand with no double resources. So if I end up discarding a card out of my hand, which I'm not going to be able to pull off the Telekinetic Blast. You only get 2 of those in your deck, I believe, and so that's a lot of damage that you would be passing on. So it may be in this instance, it might be just better off if I just discard a card. Unless I want to try to build something. So each player may search their deck and discard pile for support that costs 3 or less and put it into play. Superpower training. So yeah, you know what? Maybe I discard the Telekinetic Blast. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to discard Telekinetic Blast. Hopefully we'll get those later in the game. But for now, we're just going to discard that to preserve placing 2 threat on Upper Manhattan. We don't want these things to grow too quickly here. So Telekinetic Blast, I won't be able to play it anyway because I'll be a little limited on my turn what I can do. At least right now I can play at least 2 cards, which is good. And that builds up my board state. So yeah, we'll just discard Telekinetic Blast for now. So we still have to deal ourselves an encounter card, which could change things drastically. So let's see what happens here. It says Assault. Oh, this will actually change things. It says when revealed, the villain attacks you. So I've already got hit for 5 this turn. And there's a lot of big boosts in Venom Goblin. He's the big baddie in the Sinister Motives box, so that means that he's going to be a little tougher to beat, so he's probably going to have a lot of boosts. We'll go ahead and, like we did before, get hit for a bunch. Ouch. Symbiotic Monstrosity, so it has 3 boost icons on it, so we know we're taking 5 damage, and it says boost. If this activation is an attack, this attack deals indirect damage. Yeah, it's going to go ahead and deal indirect damage to us. Doesn't matter, because I'm the only dude standing, so I'm going to get hit for 5 more. So it takes me all the way down to 2. I took 10 damage that turn, so I'm going to have to flip down this turn, try to heal. So we'll discard the Assault. We're going to discard the Boost. And again, this triggers because he attacked me. Upper Manhattan has the least amount of threat on it, so our marker's going to stay there. But again, we're going to take... And this time we're going to put 2 threat on Upper Manhattan because we want to preserve all of our resources to be able to play 2 side schemes at least this turn. So that's what we're going to have to do. Each player may search their deck and discard pile for identity-specific upgrade and put it into play. And then there's Lock and Load. It says each player may search their deck and discard pile for a weapon upgrade with a cost of 3 or less and put it into play. Build support. Oh yeah. Yeah, we definitely want to do the build support, because we want to try to find Gray Mulligan. So that's going to end Venom Goblin's turn. He had a pretty good turn. I had a pretty good turn starting out, but I think he had a better turn because he's knocked me all the way down to 2. I barely scratched him at all. So advance the phase, turn things back over to Cable. So the build support is going to come out first. So we're going to use Superpower Training, right, to pay for the build support. So that player side scheme is going to come into play. We're going to flip down this turn, so we want to try to build up our board state as much as we can. So it says each player may search your deck and discard pile for a support with a cost of 3 or less and put it into play. So if I exhaust Cable, now I can remove 3 threat off of build support. So build support's going to go to the victory display. Let's take care of its when defeated first. Search your deck and discard pile for support. Here we go. Look at all cards. Call for backup. May not be bad either. If we can get that out at some point. Just reminiscing. Alright, so Gray Melican comes out onto the table. It is the support that we're going to put out. Let's read him real quickly. It says that he's a support response after a side scheme is defeated. Ready, Gray Melican. Exhaust Gray Melican to generate a resource, which is nice. That's really nice. Yes, I like it. That may be a way to get justice served out on the table. But no, maybe not. Now I'm going to have to use that resource for something different, I'm afraid. So the build support is now going to go to the victory display. So we're going to discard it, put it in the victory pile, and we're going to mark Technovirus Purge that we have an additional player side scheme in the victory display. So if we're wondering how many player side schemes are in the victory display, all we got to do is look up here at Technovirus Purge. It is not on the table. I defeated it already. I'm just using it kind of as a marker to tell me how many cards are in the victory display and to remind me that I'm +1 thwart, +1 attack, and +1 defense. So that's how I like to play with that. So we're going to use the Gray Melican, right? Because it gives us a resource. Now we can exhaust Gray Melican to generate a energy resource. Now, and remember too that since after Cable defeated his side scheme, we can ready Cable, so he's readied back up. Gray Melican, we're going to use its resource to put out Lock and Load. All right, good. And then Cable can remove that 2 threat off of Lock and Load since he's readied again. So then this card's going to go to the victory display. It says, when defeated, each player may search their deck and discard pile for a weapon upgrade with a cost of 3 or less and put it into play. So let's look at our deck for that weapon upgrade. And we are going to find his plasma rifle. Ready? Okay, good. Close and shuffle. So now we have the plasma rifle on the table. Lock and Load is going to go to the victory display. So we're going to mark Technovirus Purge that it went off again. Cable, you can do this unlimited once per phase, so we've already used his response, so he's exhausted for the rest of this turn. But Gray Melican says, after a side scheme is defeated, you can ready it, so we're going to ready Gray Melican. And then the hero action on Plasma Rifle says, exhaust Plasma Rifle, spend an energy resource, deal 1 damage to an enemy for each side scheme in the victory display to a maximum of 4. This attack gains ranged. So remember, there's 3 player side schemes in the victory display. So we're going to exhaust Gray Melican. We're going to exhaust the Plasma Rifle to do 3 damage to Venom Goblin. Another paper cut to him. And now we're going to flip down to our alter ego form, which is Nathan Summers. And that is going to end my turn. Now, do I want to keep Justice Served? I think I do. That 3 threat removal, a thwarting of 3 is great if you get multiple player side schemes out, and Justice Served allows you to do a lot more things. So I'm going to hang on to that Justice Served card. It's a good card. I think I only have 2 in my deck. I should probably put 3. We'll advance the phase, turn things over to the Venom Goblin. Let's see what we got. We got Clear the Area. We got One Way or Another. We got Followed, Establish Perimeter, and Mind Scan. So we got a lot of good cards to use on our next turn. Should be a good turn if we can survive. We're going to place 1 threat on each of the main schemes. Now Venom Goblin is going to scheme for 2, plus this boost here. And it says place 1 threat on each main scheme without the glider counter. That's the Symbiotic Thrall. Not too disappointed to see that. Yeah, 1, 2, and then it doesn't add any additional. There's no boost icons on there, so we're just going to add simply 2 threat to Upper Manhattan. So that's a Symbiotic Thrall. We'll discard that. And so since he activated, move the glider counter to the main scheme with the least threat. So Skies over New York. And this says place 1 threat on each scheme. If a symbiotic environment is played, place 1 additional threat on this scheme. So I can either place a threat on Lower Manhattan, Midtown Manhattan, and Upper Manhattan, or I can place 2 threat on Lower Manhattan. So it's 2 or 3 threat out at this point. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 2 threat out. 2 instead of 3. It would be 1 threat on there anyway, right? Place 1 threat on each scheme. Yeah. So I'll end up with 1 threat on Lower Manhattan and then 1 on each of these, or 2 threat on Lower Manhattan, which I can take care of more big threats. So yeah, we're going to put 6 threat on Lower Manhattan. Total of 6 threat on Lower Manhattan. And so that's going to end the activation, but Venom Goblin still gets to draw his encounter card, which is a Surge, because we're in alter ego form. So we'll discard the Salt, and we'll surge into Remote Navigation. It says, when revealed, if Advanced Glider is in play, the villain activates against you. If it's not in play, search the encounter deck and discard pile for Advanced Glider and reveal it. That can't be good. That cannot be good. Let's see what the Advanced Glider... It's been a while since I put the Advanced Glider out. Let me see what its deal is. I know it's not good. Here it is. Close and shuffle. Advanced Glider is an item tech attached to the villain. Forced response. After attached villain activates against you. Let's see. Let me read this again. After attached villain activates against you, comma, it activates against you again. Limit once per player. Hero action. Discard any number of attack cards from your hand with a combined resource cost of 3 or more. To discard this card. Ooh. That Advanced Glider is going to be bad news. Yeah. I don't think I have many attacks. Let's see. Here's an attack. No, it's not an attack. Followed is not an attack. So it's not a way to get rid of Advanced Glider. Ooh. Now I need to find that. Yeah, I'm going to have to dig now. Yep. Yep, that puts a clock on the table for sure. Advanced Glider. I have got to find some attack cards, and there's not many in my deck. I've still got 26 cards in my deck to thumb through, too, so. I'm going to drink here. I came at a bad time. I'm in low health. I need to heal. Advanced phase. So it's my turn. So I think for sure I'm going to try to recover because I'm down to 2. I can't take too many hits, especially with that Advanced Glider out there on the table. And I don't have any buddies. I have not found any friends yet. I do have a tough. Give each identity a tough status card. But I'm going to have to ready somehow in order to be able to do that. Mind Scan. Mind Scan right now. Remove 3 threat from a scheme. Let's see. It says search your deck and discard. Moria McTaggart allows us to get an extra card when we ready. Or when we flip. I'm going to have to draw some good cards with one way or another. And we're going to have to try to get rid of that side scheme. Which is going to be nasty. We're going to heal 4. Up to 6. Hopefully that'll keep us around for a minute. And I'm going to flip over. Flip card. Flip to my hero form. So we got Moria McTaggart that's going to trigger. After a mutant alter ego changes the hero form, exhausts Moria McTaggart. That controller draws 1 card. So we're going to draw up a telekinetic force field. It says when a friendly character would take any amount of damage, discard telekinetic force field, prevent all of that damage. This might be a good time for that. It's going to cost a lot of resources to get it out, though. 2 resources to prevent lots of damage. But if I can somehow get that established perimeter off, that'll allow me to ready. I'd have to use my mind scan at this point, I believe, in order to be able to pull that off. For sure I'm going to use one way or another. I've got to try to find some attack events to get rid of that advanced glider. We do not want that going off multiple times in a turn. So one way or another is coming out. I'm going to play it. Let's look through the encounter deck. All cards. Okay. So we got Joyride, which we don't want to trigger. We got Limitless Supply. It says each tech attachment gains Surge. I remember we looked before, there was only 3 total side schemes, so we're going to bring out Limitless Supply. We don't really want to trigger additional specials at this point. So Limitless Supply is the least at this point of the side schemes that could come out. So we get to draw at least 3 cards. So we're going to discard one way or another, and I get to draw 3 cards. So let's hope for some attack events. So the first one is Forge. Next card is Body Slide, which will allow us to go back down to alter ego form, which might be a way to end the game. But look at all the threat that's on these main schemes. Plus we've got the Limitless Supply out now. Bad. We got multitasking, so that'll help maybe give us a little bit of a breather. So multitasking, so that's all that we got. Clear the area, followed, establish perimeter. Okay, so that's what's out on the table. That's what I've got to deal with. Now, multitasking, that might be good. That might be helpful, multitasking, yeah. Because then I could use clear the area to get rid of established perimeter. That would allow me to ready. That could help. Forge will allow us to go find an X-Men or X-Force support and add it to our hand. Plus it'll be an additional buffer in the event of an attack. Sorry, Forge, think of you that way. But we may need you for that reason. We also have Mind Scan, which could remove a lot of threat off of one of those main schemes, especially if we get another card in the victory display. We could actually clear out one of these big ones, or get rid of Limitless Supply, which we need to do that anyway. I got a few choices here. It's nice. It's nice to have choices. How do I want to end my turn? Do I want to use a Body Slide to go into my alter ego form to end my turn? Not with all of this threat on the table, but removing a ton of threat off of Lower Manhattan might be helpful. Just thinking out loud. Hey, Shibi. Good to see you. Thanks for dropping by. Yep. Got some nasty stuff out on the table, bud. Alright. So we did use Moria McTaggart to draw a card when we flipped. So Gray Malikan, we're going to use that to place established perimeter out on the table. Okay, so we can remove 2 threat with clear the area at least, which would be good. Does that allow us to ready Cable, and it'll give us a tough status card, and it'll place another card in the victory display, which will make Mind Scan more effective. So Yeah, I believe so. I believe I'm going to play Clear the Area. I'll use the body slide to do that, or yeah, I get to draw a card. I'm looking for attack events. I don't have very many in my deck. I built this for a lot of threat removal, not to counter that advanced glider necessarily, which is probably my fault. I'm going to play Clear the Area, and I'm going to use the body slide to pay for it. Okay, so establish perimeter. Give each identity a tough status card. So Cable's going to get a tough. We're going to send establish perimeter to the victory display. We're going to mark Technovirus Purge that has been knocked out. So now we have 4 player side schemes in the victory display. Clear the Area goes off. Remove 2 threat from a scheme. If this removes the last threat from that scheme, draw a card. So we get to draw a card, and it's a genius card. +2, that's nice. That's nice, really nice. Good, so we're going to discard Clear the Area. Since we cleared that side scheme, we're going to ready Gray Melican. We're also going to ready Cable. And that will take care of that action. So now my next choice is to play some multitasking, forge, telekinetic force field, followed, justice served. Yeah, how about I put justice served? Yes, I'm going to put justice served out on the table. And I'm going to spend the Gray Melican card to do that. Alright, so with Cable, we're going to remove 3 threat from Limitless Supply. We do want to get rid of that. And so I spent 1 to put Justice Served on the table. Now we need to spend a mental resource in order to play multitasking. To take 2 threat off of one scheme and then another scheme. The only mental resources I've got in my hand is Forge, Mind Scan, which we want to use Mind Scan. Yeah, we flipped up this turn. And then we still want to try to get our plasma rifle off. Lots to do, little to pay for it. Alright, so multitasking, we're going to use Forge to pay for multitasking. So that's going to remove 2 threat off of Limitless Supply. And we'll also take 2 threat off of Upper Manhattan. How's that? Yep, that's what we're going to do. So multitasking. Took 2 threat off of each. So Limitless Supply is defeated. We're going to discard that. 2 threat off of Upper Manhattan. Discard multitasking. So as we remove the last threat from a scheme, we can discard Justice Served and ready the hero. Discard that to ready Cable. And then this one says after a side scheme is defeated, you can ready Gray Melican. So we ready it. Yeah, I think I do put out Telekinetic Force Field. When a friendly amount of character would take any amount of damage, discard Telekinetic Force Field and prevent all of that damage. So for now, let's see. Let me check something here. I'm going to check the victory display just to make sure that I have all my markers. Yep, there's 3 in the victory display plus a Technovirus Purge that I defeated. So yeah, there's 4 in the victory display. So if I genius a Mind Scan, I can remove 3 threat from a scheme, remove 1 additional threat from that scheme for each side scheme in the victory display. So Lower Manhattan, we're going to go ahead and remove all of the threat from Lower Manhattan with that Mind Scan. Discard that. I'm going to spin Gray Melican and the followed card to put that Telekinetic Force Field out onto the table. Just as a little extra defense on this turn, because I'm going to need it. And then with Cable, we're going to remove 3 threat from, how about Midtown Manhattan? Yeah, do I want to do that? Yeah. Let's see. So the least amount of threat right now is on Lower Manhattan. So it says place 1 threat on each scheme. If a symbiotic environment is played, place 1 threat on this scheme. So that's going to be the lowest amount of threat. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and target the highest amount of threat, Midtown Manhattan, with Cable. I'm not going to be able to use my plasma rifle this turn, but I'm just going to be... I need to find some attack events. Let's try to remember attack events from your hand with a combined resource cost of 3 or more. I think I only have 1 in my entire deck, and I need to find it. I've still got 21 cards on my deck to go through before I can get to that point. So, yeah. All right, that's going to end my turn. We're going to advance the phase, turn things over to the Venom Goblin. Let's look and see if we got any attack events. We got Render Medical Aid, which we'll probably need. Professor, we got iPack, which allows us to draw extra cards, but we do take in an extra encounter card. We've got Sense of Justice, 2 Sense of Justices in our hand. It'd be nice to get one of them out. And that's going to end my turn. So let's look at the Venom Goblin. We'll go ahead and place 1 threat on each main scheme. Venom Goblin is going to attack Cable. Again, keep in mind it says after attached villain activates against you, it activates against you again. Ugh. Alright. So Venom Goblin is going to attack Cable. The boost. Man. The boost says resolve the special ability of the scheme with the glider counter. No choices on this one, just activate it. Okay, so it says place 1 threat on each scheme. So we're going to place 1 on Lower Manhattan, 1 on Midtown Manhattan, 1 on Upper Manhattan. And there's no boost at least, so it's going to attack us for 2. So that will knock the tough off of Cable. But it will trigger, because it's going to move to the lowest, so it's going to stay on Lower Manhattan. It says place 1 threat on each scheme. If symbiotic environment is played, place 1 additional threat on the scheme. So we're going to place 2 threat using Venom Goblin's special, our ability here, to either place 2 threat on that scheme or resolve its special ability. So we're just going to place 2 threat on Lower Manhattan. The advanced glider goes off. After attached villain it activates against you, it activates you against you again. So he's going to attack us again. And this time he's going to hit us with, it says move the glider counter to the main scheme with the most threat and place 1 threat on that scheme. Symbiotic Berserker. So it's going to go over here to Upper Manhattan. Let me read that again. It says move the glider counter to the main scheme with the most threat, place 1 threat on that scheme. Okay, Upper Manhattan is going to get hit for 1 threat. And so we got to take care of 2 damage now. So I'll either absorb it or I'll absorb it with the telekinetic force field. When a friendly character would take any amount of damage, discard telekinetic force field, prevent all of that damage. I'm not too concerned about 2 damage maybe. Probably should be. But I'm just going to go ahead and take the 2 instead of triggering the hero interrupt. It's not forced. So the Symbiotic Berserker, we'll discard that. And since he activated against us again, it tells us that we need to discard 1 card from our hand. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and discard this, I guess, Sense of Justice. Probably. To keep threat from going on to Upper Manhattan, yeah. I'll go ahead and discard Sense of Justice. We don't need 2. Ugh. So that's going to end Venom Goblin's turn. Another good turn for Venom Goblin. And we did preserve our telekinetic force field, so that's nice. We've got Gray Melican. Doesn't cost anything to play Render Medical Aid. And I think I'm going to need it. I'm definitely going to need it. If I put IPAC out, that's a double-edged sword right there. It says exhaust IPAC, deal 1 face-down encounter card to a player. That player draws 2 cards. I still have 16 cards left in my hero deck. So what's my chances of hitting the 1 card that I need to get rid of that advanced glider? It's just not going to happen, I don't think. I do need to remove lots of threat. So there is some threat removal cards. But I'm taking an encounter card to do it. And those encounter cards are nasty. So maybe I spend my resource to, I don't know, put out the Professor. Let's see. I could do 5 damage to Venom Goblin if I get Render Medical Aid out of the way early. Professor. Side schemes. I can cull my deck a little bit if I were in my alter ego form. Or draw a card. Be nice to get Sense of Justice out. So if I exhaust Gray Melican and I spin IPAC, I could put Sense of Justice on the table. Knock out Render Medical Aid. Ready Gray Melican. I need to do some damage to Venom Goblin. I haven't done much to him. This will help me to heal. I wouldn't have to necessarily flip down, so if I'm up to 9 health and I have telekinetic force field out on the table, I could stay in hero form. And I need to remove some threat off of these guys. Got too much threat on the table right now. Sense of Justice. Alright, so we're going to exhaust. Now let's put Render Medical Aid out on the table. I'm going to exhaust Gray Melican and spend the IPAC to put Sense of Justice on the table. It says exhaust Sense of Justice, generate a mental resource for a thwart event. Could come in handy later. Don't have any thwart events right now. But at least Cable, whenever I remove the last threat off of Render Medical Aid, we're going to send it to the victory display. And we're going to add an extra counter onto Technovirus Purge. Alright. So now we've got 5 side schemes in the victory display. We get to ready Cable. We get to ready Gray Melican. We'll exhaust the Plasma Rifle, spending Gray Melican to do 5 damage now to the Venom Goblin. So he's now down to 5 health. And then Cable is going to remove 3 threat off of Upper Manhattan. So at least we limit the we've leveled the playing field in New York. There's 4 threat on all of the main schemes now. I did get to heal 5 health from Cable, so we're up to 9. And then we've got telekinetic force field. We'll use it if we get hit with a big attack, because we know we're gonna get attacked twice, at least, on Venom Goblin's turn. So we did get Sense of Justice out. We've got Gray Melican, Warrior McTaggart if we have to flip down. We hang on to the Professor or we discard the Professor for now. I think we need to discard the Professor because we've got to find an attack event to get rid of that advanced glider. So Professor, sorry, we're not going to be able to play you this turn. We're going to advance the phase. What do we get? We got One Way or Another. We got a Saki Sun, multitasking, Nick Fury, and an energy card. Okay. This is a way that we could potentially dig for our attack event. Because we've got Nick Fury and we've got a one way or another. That nets you like 6 card draws. There's 11 left in the deck. Ugh. Alright, so we place 1 threat on each of the main schemes. 1, 2, 3. Venom Goblin is going to activate against Cable. We're not going to defend at this point. So we'll just see what happens here. How much damage? It says place 1 threat on each main scheme without a glider counter. So we're going to place 1 on Lower Manhattan, 1 on Midtown Manhattan. Discard that, and so he's going to hit us for 2. And then the glider is going to stay right where it's at. So my choice is discard a card from our hand. If a symbiotic environment is in play, discard the top 4 cards of our deck. Okay. So place 2 threat on Upper Manhattan. Yeah. 2 threat on Upper Manhattan. That'll put it up to 7. And then that'll move whenever he activates against me again. So let's take our chance. Up to 7. Okay. Venom Goblin is going to attack us again because of the advanced glider. And this time he hits us 4. It says if this activation is an attack, it gets +2 boost icons for this attack, and the attack gains overkill. So do we do 4 damage to Cable, or do we get rid of the telekinetic force field? I think we're going to lose our telekinetic force field to prevent all of that damage. Yep. Alright, discard that. So this is going to move again. So it's either going to move to Lower Manhattan, which is place 1 threat on each scheme, or it goes to Midtown Manhattan, which is take 2 indirect damage. We're going to move to Midtown Manhattan, and we're going to take 2 indirect damage. That takes us down to 5. It's getting bad. It's getting bad. A lot of threat in the city. And at this point, not a tremendous amount of choices in my hand, but at least something to work with. Sakani Sun says, thwart after you defend against the enemy attack, exhaust Asani Sun, and spend a energy resource to remove threat from a scheme equal to your hero's thwart. Oh, and keep in mind that if I bring out that other scheme, there's only 1 side scheme left in the encounter deck, and we know that it's going to trigger Midtown Manhattan if I put it out, which is going to deal 2 indirect damage to me. 2 indirect damage to draw 3 cards to potentially get rid of the advanced glider. I'm going to take the chance. So we're going to play one way or another. Let's go look through that encounter deck. 23 cards left in the encounter deck. It's nice it keeps track of that for me. The only side scheme that's in there is Joyride, so we're going to bring it out. And it says that search the encounter deck for a side scheme, reveal that side scheme, and draw 3 cards. Okay, so we'll discard that. The side scheme that we went and dug for, let's close and shuffle. So is the Joyride, which is Hinder 2. When revealed, move the glider token to the main scheme with the most threat. Oh, with the most threat. Resolve that scheme's special ability. So I underestimated that one. So Joyride is now on the table. And Upper Manhattan says that we discard a card from our hand. So we got to toss a card. I really don't want to do that. I want to hang on to multitasking. I'm not going to defend on my turn, so I think we're going to, even though it's a wild resource, we're going to get rid of Asaki Sun. So yeah, we had to trigger that on Upper Manhattan. So Joyride is out on the table. It is another side scheme. It has a hazard, so we would definitely try to get rid of that, which we can. So because we played one way or another, we do get to draw 3 cards. So we got the Helicarrier, we draw Skilled Investigator, and we draw a Mind Scan. Ugh. Okay. All right. Skilled Investigator would be good. It would be nice to be able to pull off a Nick Fury as well. We've got a resource that we could use for Nick Fury. We could use the Helicarrier energy to put Nick Fury out. That'll give us 3 cards, or 3 more cards that we can draw. So yeah, Gray Melican. We're going to use the Helicarrier, and we're going to use energy to put out Nick Fury. Just going to draw us 3 more cards. We got Clear the Area. We got Ironheart, and we draw Telekinetic Blast. Now this is a hero action attack event that costs 3. Advanced Glider says, after attached villain activates against you, hero action, discard any number of attack cards from your hand with a combined resource cost of 3 or more. Oh no, resource cost of 3 or more. I don't have enough. No, I sure don't. It's a resource cost of 3 or more. Oh yeah, 3. That is a cost of 3. It's a resource cost of 3. Telekinetic, yeah, right. So that's what works. It's been a long time since I had to deal with an Advanced Glider for some reason. So discard any number of attack cards from your hand with a combined resource cost of 3 or more. Discard this card. So it's a resource cost of 3 to play that. So we're going to go ahead and discard that to get rid of that Advanced Glider. Gone. Please stay gone. Alright, we'll put Joyride up here then in its place. Nick Fury drew the 3 cards. So now we got choices on threat removal. Skilled Investigator's always good to put out in a Justice deck. So that's coming out for sure. Let's see. So Cable is going to remove threat. Right? Is he going to remove threat? It says, after Cable defeats a side scheme, ready him. So we need to defeat the side scheme with Cable. And then we need to ready that Gray Melican. Yep. So, multitasking? Yeah, I can use, it says, exhaust Sense of Justice, generate a mental resource for a thwart event. So we're going to exhaust Sense of Justice to play multitasking, which is going to remove 2 threat off of Joyride. And we'll also take 2 threat off of Upper Manhattan. Oh, wait a second. Do I going to do that? Maybe we'll leave it on Upper Manhattan. That's a lot of threat removal with Mind Scan. Let's take 2 off of Midtown Manhattan. Yeah. Instead. Right? Yep. That's how we're going to handle that one. So multitasking goes off. Discard that. Okay, good. So Cable, we're going to exhaust Cable to remove the last 2 threat off of Joyride. Discard Joyride. When I did that, that allowed me to ready Gray Melican. It allowed me to ready Cable. And it also triggered Skilled Investigator. It says, after a side scheme is defeated, exhaust Skilled Investigator to draw a card. There we are. And it's Call for Backup. Call for Backup. Call for Backup. Clear the area. Call for backup. So do I want to put out Ironheart? which would give us another buffer and an attack. We did remove the glider this turn, so that was big. That was a big deal, getting rid of that glider. Call for backup would allow us to draw another card later, which we may need to. Also got to think about decking myself. So if I kept at least 2 cards in my hand, that would keep me from decking and drawing an extra encounter card. I don't think we're going to think that hard about it. And then the other choice is since I am going to deck, do I want to be in alter ego form when I do remove as much threat as I possibly can? I waste a Nick Fury, but if I have a call for backup on the table or in my hand, we can call for Nick again later, draw some more cards. Got some choices here. Got some choices. I think for sure the Mind Scan to remove all the threat off of Upper Manhattan. Cable can remove 3 threat from a scheme. I've got Clear the Area, which would draw me a card. And I got a Gray Melican I could still use. I don't know if I want to push Green Goblin over the top just yet. But I could do 4 damage with the Plasma Rifle. Nick Fury can remove threat. Call for backup. If I took care of call for backup, I kind of want to hang on to that. Because I'm going to lose Nick Fury at the end of his turn. Calling for backup would allow us to grab a Nick Fury again. Just thinking out loud, going through my choices here. Let's see. Let's see, if I use Cable to remove 3 threat from Lower Manhattan, that'll put it down to 3. If I use... I think I want to get as much threat off the table as I can before I flip down. Call for backup. Well, hang on to that one. I want to hang on to call for backup. It'd be nice if I get on the table. Okay, Gray Melican, we're going to use that. And it says here, it says after a side scheme is defeated, ready Gray Melican. So we're using it to... Yeah, that's how we're going to handle it. I think that's how we're going to handle it. We're going to hang on to call for backup. We're going to use Ironheart and Gray Melican. Maybe call for backup gets used as a resource this turn, just to remove additional threat. Possibly Ironheart. Use Gray Melican and Ironheart to play the Mind Scan. So it says remove 3 threat from a scheme, remove 1 additional threat from that scheme from each scheme in the victory display. So there's 5 schemes in the victory display right now, so I can remove all the threat off of Upper Manhattan, which I like. Discard that. And then we'll use... oh yeah, we got Nick Fury too. So if Nick Fury removes 2 threat, Cable removes 3 threat, and Clear the Area takes 2 threat off. Yeah, so we'll use Nick Fury to remove 2 threat from Midtown Manhattan. Then we'll spin Call for Backup to play Clear the Area to remove the last 2 threat off of Midtown Manhattan, which draws us a card. It's Machine Man. Oh, I should have used Gray Melican a little differently to trigger my weapon to do damage. So right now we're just going to focus on threat removal. 1, 2, 3 to get 3 threat off of Lower Manhattan. I would like to heal up if I possibly can. I know I'm going to take an additional encounter card this turn, so I'm going to flip down. Hang on to Machine Man or discard him. We'll discard Machine Man to end our turn. Advance the phase. Alright. So my deck has gone out. So we're going to place 1. We're going to give him an additional encounter card this turn. Let's see what we got. We got One Way or Another. We've already burnt through all of the side schemes in the encounter deck. So we're not getting any more side schemes out. We got energy, clear the area, temporal leap, scimitar, and lay the trap. The player who defeated the scheme deals 5 damage to the villain. Alright. So we turn things over to the Venom Goblin. We're going to place 1 threat on each main scheme. And then Venom Goblin is going to scheme. He's going to scheme for 2. Plus this one, it says move the glider counter to the main scheme with the most threat and place 1 threat on that scheme. So we're going to move it over to Lower Manhattan. We're going to place 1 threat onto Lower Manhattan. Discard that, and now he's going to place 2 more threat on Lower Manhattan. So now Lower Manhattan is up to 7. And then his force response is to move him, move the counter either over to Midtown Manhattan, which is to take 2 indirect damage, or move to Upper Manhattan, which says discard a card from your hand. Now we still have the option to place 2 threat, so I think I'm going to place the 2 threat onto Midtown Manhattan. Yep. So it's back to where it started here at the beginning of the game, on Midtown Manhattan. Alright, so that is his activation. Now the encounter cards, so we've dealt 1 already. Let's look at this one. And it is an enraged symbiote. It says guard patrol. While this minion is engaged with you, you cannot thwart the main scheme. And he also is a guard, so he can't do any damage to the Venom Goblin. Just kind of a bummer, but could have been worse. Enraged symbiote. Alright, and then our other encounter card is Incendiary Bombs. Attached to the villain, uses 2 bomb counters. After the villain attacks you, remove 1 bomb counter from here and take 2 indirect damage. Alright. So, that's the end of Venom Goblin's turn. Unfortunately, Nick Fury has to go away. Oh, and he's in a discard pile. Nick Fury goes to the discard pile. Ugh. Yep, Nick Fury's in the discard pile. Alright. Let's see what we got. We got Lay the Trap, which is the player who defeated the scheme deals 5 damage to the villain. We have an enraged symbiote on the table. We can't get rid of him until we attack him. Can't attack Venom Goblin until we get rid of the enraged symbiote, and we can't touch any of the threat with a thwart off of any of those while he's in play. So one way or another has now become a resource card. It's a mental resource. We got Temporal Leap, which says when the main scheme would be completed, remove this card from the game, put a side scheme from the victory display into play, move 4 threat from the main scheme to that side scheme. Alright. Lay the Trap. The player who defeated the scheme deals 5 damage to the villain. I think we need to heal. Since we're down, we need to take advantage of that. Yep, take advantage of that. So I'm up to 9 health. I'll flip over to my hero side. When I do that, I trigger Moria McTaggart. And that's going to draw me in a card here. Call for backup. Ooh, I don't have a way to ready. Let's see, it says after Cable defeats a side scheme, ready him. I don't have an additional way to knock threat off of Call for backup. Or Lay the Trap. May have made a critical error there. I don't know. We'll see. I can still clear the area to remove some threat, removing the last threat off of Upper Manhattan. I've got the Scimitar. I don't have any psionic cards to play right now. I need to get one, though. We're going to use Sense of Justice. To remove... I'm going to play Clear the Area to remove the last thread off of Upper Manhattan. At least that allows us to draw a card. And it is Saucony Sun. After you defend against the enemy attack, exhaust the Saucony Sun to spend a... Oh, I can't play Clear the Area till I knock out the Enraged Symbiote. So we're going to use... Yeah, that's what we're going to have to do first. We're going to use Gray Melican to trigger the Plasma Rifle to knock out the Enraged Symbiote. Yep. That's how it's going to have to happen. First. And then I can play Clear the Area to draw the card to get a Saucony Sun. Discard that. This is going to be a bad turn, I think. This may just be a setup turn for later, because I don't have enough events here to... So call for backup. I'm going to go ahead and spend one resource to play Call for Backup. We'll use one way or another to pay for that. We're going to spend 2 resources, energy, to put out the Scimitar. After you play a psionic card, exhaust Scimitar, deal 2 damage to an enemy. Temporal Leap. When the main scheme would be completed, remove this card from the game, put a side scheme from the victory display into play, move 4 threat from the main scheme to that scheme. That would be a way of keeping these guys kind of extra in check. And I think that that's probably more beneficial right now than the Saucony Sun. Yeah. Maybe. Alright, so we're going to do that and that. Kind of a lackluster turn because I didn't get any attack or get any thwart events, but we are going to need to make some more room here. We're getting things a little bit crazy here. So Skilled Investigator, move him over. Scimitar, we got the Temporal Leap. We did get Call for Backup on the table, which could help us for later. Let's move everything up here. Okay. Advance the phase. So I get to draw 5 cards. I got Keep 'em Busy, one way or another, Just to Serve, Telekinetic Blast, and we got Machine Man. Keeping in mind my board state is Just to Serve, Gray Melican, Moria McTaggart, Cable, Plasma Rifle, Temporal Leap, Scimitar, and Skilled Investigator. So we got a pretty good board state. So does he. He's got that Incinerary Bomb now, which deals an additional 2 damage. 2 indirect damage. And I don't have any buddies on the table right now. So we'll go ahead and begin his turn by placing 1 threat on each of the main schemes. Venom Goblin is going to attack us. He's 2 + 1 is 3. Would it do me any good to defend? Let's take the damage from this attack. It's going to be a lot. 2, 3, plus this. It says place 1 threat on each main scheme without the glider counter. So we place 1 on Lower Manhattan, and we place 1 on Upper Manhattan. Discard that. So he's going to attack us for 3. And then with the Incendiary Bombs, after the villain attacks you, remove 1 bomb counter from here. Take 2 indirect damage. Now I'm down to 4. The glider is going to move down here to Upper Manhattan. And my choice is to either place 2 threat on Upper Manhattan or discard a card from my hand. Machine Man. Telekinetic Blast. Justice Served. One way or another, keep them busy. I'm going to place the 2 threat, since I can, onto Upper Manhattan. Take my chances in Upper Manhattan. And here's the encounter card. The encounter card reads, Concussive Bombs. Attached to the villain, uses 2 bombs. After the villain attacks you, remove 1 bomb counter from here. Exhaust 1 upgrade and 1 support you control. We have yet another attachment on to Venom Goblin. Okay, Venom Goblin's got 2 attachments now. Incinerate bombs. We did take 1 counter off of that. Yep, we sure did. And then we've got concussive bombs, which has 2 counters on it. So now he's +2 on his attacks. There's no way to get rid of these either. They're just going to have to go off whenever he attacks me. So I'm going to have to bone up on my health before I take on Venom Goblin again. So, alright, so that's going to end his turn, I believe. So I drew that card, right? Yep. That was my encounter card. One way or another is a resource. We know that there's no more left. Let's take a look at the encounter deck to see how many cards are left in the encounter deck. There's still 17 cards left in the encounter deck. We know that none of them are side schemes. And so all of my one way or another's now have been reduced to resources. We do have Justice Served, which is good. It says, after you thwart, remove the last threat from a scheme. Discard Justice Served to ready your hero. So that's a nice way to get rid of a lot of threat over here, because it's not a side scheme, and it's an upgrade that goes on the table. Keep them busy says the player who defeated this scheme removes 5 threat from the main scheme. That would be good to do. That would be nice. So I don't have any events. Yeah. Telekinetic Blast. 6 damage to the enemy. So we're doing lots of damage to Venom Goblin if we can knock him out. It's also a psionic event, which would trigger Scimitar. Skilled Investigator will allow us to draw an extra card. So Gray Melican. Yeah, I think we spend Gray Melican to put out Justice Served onto the table. Okay, Justice Served is out. Cable is going to remove 3 threat from Call for Backup. There he is. Call for Backup. Each player may search their deck and discard pile for an ally and put it into play. We're going to discard that to the victory display. So we're going to add 1 more to Technovirus Purge, because we now have 6 side schemes in the victory display. We're going to go find our buddy Nick Fury. We know he's in the discard pile. So Nick comes out onto the table. Let's move Justice Served over slightly. Okay, we got Nick out now, which is great. When Nick Fury hits the table, he gets to draw us 3 cards. So we're going to take a Superpower Training, we're going to take Multitasking, and we're going to take Forced Amnesia into our hand, which this says after a non-permanent side scheme is defeated, add Forced Amnesia and that side scheme to the victory display. We're not going to have any Venom Goblin side schemes for a while, so that's a resource. Because we knocked out a side scheme, we get to ready Gray Melican. We also get to ready Cable, and we're going to exhaust Skilled Investigator to draw a card. And that card is Telekinetic Force Field. When a friendly character would take any amount of damage, discard Telekinetic Force Field to prevent all of that damage. Okay. I like that. Definitely want to play that. Keep them busy says the player who defeated this scheme removes 5 threat from the main scheme. That would be a great way to get Lower Manhattan down. Gray Melican. Let's see, we got Multitasking, which says that I can use, so if I were to use Sense of Justice for multitasking, I can take 2 threat off of 2 schemes. Telekinetic Blast. 6 damage to an enemy, 1 additional. I think whenever he flips, if I were to knock out Venom Goblin right now, think he comes into play with a tough card on him. I'm pretty sure he does. Definitely would like to get Keep Them Busy out there on the table. Yeah. So how about Keep Them Busy? It's going to cost us 1, so Gray Melican's going to cost us 1 to put that out. So now Cable, we exhaust Cable to Keep Them Busy. Yeah. Player who defeated the scheme removes 5 threat from the main scheme. So we'll send Keep Them Busy to the victory display. That's another card in the victory display. So now we're up to 7. Technovirus Purge is up to 7. I'm using, if you tune in late, this is a card just to kind of mark how many cards are in the victory display quickly, and to remind me that I'm +1 thwart, +1 attack, +1 defense, and that I am psionic, if I need that for whatever reason. Okay, so we're going to remove 5 threat from Lower Manhattan, and then we get to Ready Gray Melican because we defeated another side scheme. So we've got 7 side schemes in the victory display. Superpower Training. Each player may search their deck and discard pile for an identity-specific upgrade and put it into play. Telekinetic Blast. I feel like I'm dragging this game out, but I feel like I need to. I think I'll flip down this turn. Maybe. Should I go ahead and use... Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and use Gray Melican now to do 4 damage with the plasma rifle into Venom Goblin. Knocks him down to 1. I'll use Sense of Justice to remove 2 threat from 2 schemes on multitasking. So we definitely want to use that up. We'll clear out Upper Manhattan for 2. And we'll clear Midtown Manhattan for 2. Discard that. Telekinetic Force Field. Forced Amnesia. Superpower Training. Be good to put that out for the next turn if we decide to flip down. Yeah, maybe Machine Man comes out. Let's use Forced Amnesia. And one way or another to put Machine Man out onto the table. I lose my ability to play Telekinetic Blast this turn by doing so. But it never hurts to have an additional ally out, right? Let's make ourselves some more room here. It might be a way to stay up this turn, but we do have the concussive bombs. Yeah. And we have the incendiary bombs that'll go off. If I bring Machine Man out, yeah. Oh man, I hate to lose that telekinetic blast and that force field. Machine Man comes out. I'm going to hang on to Telekinetic Blast for a turn. I was thinking maybe I would use Machine Man to knock Venom Goblin down, but knocking him down at this point would trigger a lot of stuff I don't necessarily want to mess with, I don't think. So, yeah, and additional encounter cards mainly. I think I'll deal with that whenever I can. So for now, I'm just going to play it safe and put out Telekinetic Force Field. And I'll spend 2 resources, Superpower Training, and unfortunately Telekinetic Blast. Yeah, to put out the Force Field. I got to think long game here, if there is a such thing against Venom Goblin. So I've got Temporal Leap out now, and I've got Telekinetic Force Field out. Justice served. Decided not to trigger that this turn. Machine Man, do we use him up right now? No, I don't think so. I do think I'm going to use Nick Fury to remove 2 threat off of Lower Manhattan, which gets it kind of under control. Alright, and then we can spread out the incendiary bombs. The incendiary bomb. Take 2 indirect damage. So we're going to place 1 onto Nick Fury. And for now, we're just going to kind of hang on to Machine Man. Yep. And we'll advance the phase. We're going to stay in hero form for now. I did get another telekinetic blast. Professor, Mind Scheme, Strength, and Sense of Justice. Mind Scan. Yeah, because some things are going to happen with that concussive bomb. It says upgrade, exhaust an upgrade, and 1 support you control. So right now I've got Gray Mulligan, and I've got, so this is an upgrade. Let's see what I may only have 1 support on the table, which is Gray Mulligan. Yeah. Or Maury McTaggart. Yeah, that might be good to exhaust. All right, so we're going to place 1 threat onto each main scheme. Sorry, I had to kind of zoom out, but I got a lot of cards on the table. Venom Goblin is going to attack Cable. He's going to take 4 damage. He's got 4 health left, but keep in mind that I do have that telekinetic force field. So here is his boost. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage into Cable. All right, 6 damage into Cable. We're going to discard telekinetic force field. Discard that. Discard telekinetic force field. A friendly character would take any amount of damage. Discard telekinetic force field to prevent all of that damage. The incendiary bombs, after a villain attacks you, remove 1 bomb counter from here and take 2 indirect damage. So we're going to place 1 indirect damage into Nick Fury. And 1 indirect damage into Machine Man. So incendiary bombs goes away. And then the concussive bombs, it says after the villain attacks you, remove 1 bomb counter from here, exhaust an upgrade, and 1 support you control. Okay, so I didn't get any thwart events in my hand. Oh, I do have 1. I've got Mind Scan, which we're going to hang on to. So, Skilled Investigator says, after a side scheme is defeated, exhaust Skilled Investigator. I don't have any side schemes out. No, I don't. And do I have a way to draw any more cards on my turn? I don't think so. No. So we are going to exhaust Skilled Investigator, which is an upgrade. And we're also going to exhaust Maury McTaggart. After the villain attacks you, remove 1 bomb counter from here, exhaust 1 upgrade and 1 support you control. Those are the ones that I'm exhausting. Okay. So now the encounter card is Caught Off Guard. I knew it. I knew that was going to happen eventually. Discard an upgrade or support you control. If no cards were discarded this way, this card gains Surge. So what do I want to get rid of? Do I want to get rid of Sense of Justice? I've got another one in my hand. Not necessarily. Do I want to get rid of Temporal Leap? When the main scheme would be completed, remove cards in the game. Okay, so that would be a way to preserve that. Skilled Justice Served. Justice Served says, after you thwart, remove the last threat from a scheme, discard Justice Served, ready or hero. I don't think so. I think I may hang on to that one. Scimitar, Temporal Leap, Plasma Rifle. Don't really want to get rid of any of these, to be honest with you. Which one's doing me the least amount of good right now? Maury McTaggart draws me a card when I flip down. I do have another Sense of Justice in my hand. It cost me 2 to put it out. I really wanted to get off, if possible, a telekinetic blast and the mind scan this turn, which I could. Let's get rid of Laurie McTaggart. Cost 2. Temporal Leap when the main scheme would be completed. I haven't really, you know, I'm going to get rid of that. The rest of them are doing me some good. Scimitars might do me some good now. Yeah, I can use that. Okay, yeah, that's what we're going to do. So caught off guard, discard that. We got rid of Temporal Leap. So that's the end of Venom Goblin's turn. Now it's my turn. Oh, gotta lose Nick Fury. You might wonder why I spread out that damage on these two. That indirect damage, because if I drew another attack event, I was going to use Nick Fury to defend it. That's why I did that. So discard Nick Fury. Nick Fury's gone. All right. So Cable. Cable says, after Cable defeats a side scheme, ready him. There's no side schemes on the table. So actually Justice Serve probably would have been a good one to... Nah. It says, after you thwart and remove the last threat from a scheme, discard Justice Serve to ready your hero. So I could technically, with Cable now, even though there's no side schemes on the table, I could exhaust him to remove all the threat from either Upper Manhattan, Midtown Manhattan, or Lower Manhattan to trigger Justice Serve. That would ready him again. I've got Mind Scan that I could play. I got Machine Man to do a damage to Venom Goblin. I do want to do that 1 damage to Venom Goblin. We're going to send him over this turn. I hate it because I know what's going to happen if I do. But we're going to go ahead and trigger that anyway. So we're going to use Machine Man to attack Venom Goblin. We're going to hit Venom Goblin for 1. Venom Goblin 2 pops out. He has Steady again. This time he has Toughness. It says, when revealed, place 2 face down encounter card, or deal 2 face down encounter cards to each player. So here's 1. And here's number 2. So those are my 2 face down encounter cards that I need to deal myself. The Telekinetic Blast now. It's worth 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 damage if I can pull it off. 13 damage, 14, 15 with the Scimitar. And then 3 damage with Cable. That would finish off Venom Goblin on this turn, which is what I really needed to do. I need to do a lot of damage to Venom Goblin. So I need to do 3 damage. Well, yeah, and I got Gray Melican, which we can use for the Plasma Rifle. So how about this? Cable to remove 3 threat from Lower Manhattan. We trigger Justice Served. After you thwart and remove the last threat from a scheme, discard Justice Served to ready your hero. We're going to ready Cable. Cable is going to remove the Tough. We're going to attack with Cable to remove the Tough card off of Venom Goblin. Alright. Then we're going to use the Telekinetic Blast. We're going to spend 1 resource from Gray Melican and 2 resources from Strength to do 6 damage to the enemy plus 1 additional damage to the enemy for each side scheme in the victory display. So we know that there's 7. Let me double check that just to make sure. I'm going to look at my victory display to make sure that there are in fact 7. Look at all cards. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the victory display plus 1 for Technovirus Purge. So we're going to do 6 damage to Venom Goblin plus 7 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which takes him down to 5. Because this is a psionic card, I can now trigger the Scimitar. It says after you play another psionic card, exhaust Scimitar to deal 2 damage to an enemy. So we're going to deal 2 damage to Venom Goblin. which takes him down to 3. And then, oh no. Yeah, I should not have used the Gray Melican earlier. So we're gonna save that Gray Melican. Yeah, we're gonna use another resource, Sense of Justice, to play that card from earlier. So Telekinetic Blast went off. We did 2 damage. Yeah, that was my intent, was to use that last damage here from the plasma rifle to knock out Venom Goblin. So I misspent that resource earlier, backing up, because this is what I intended to do. Sorry. So yeah, now with this last, sorry, I would have liked it to be a little bit cleaner than that, but yeah. So one final resource, energy resource, to use the plasma rifle onto Venom Goblin, which knocks him all the way down to 0. So that defeats the Venom Goblin. I know that it was a long match, 1 hour and 40 minutes I have been recording, but that's how long it took to take down the Venom Goblin with Cable. And that was just in standard Venom Goblin. Now I gotta try an expert, I guess. But anyway, so yeah, we defeat the Venom Goblin today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with me, Shibi. Sorry it took so long, but it was a fun game. Taking on the Venom Goblin, trying to keep the threat at bay down there in New York City. And we were able to do it. We were able to pull it off. So it was a pretty fun game. Thanks for watching. If you saw anything that I made a mistake on, please, in the comments down below, I think I'm going to upload this one to YouTube. In the comments down below, if you saw anything that I could have done differently, maybe I could have ended the game a whole lot sooner. Maybe I could have done something differently. Maybe I played something wrong. Please don't hesitate to put those in the comments down below. Thanks for watching again, everyone, and have a wonderful day. Take care.